what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Halloween, whilst being one of the most successful horror franchises of all time, has also become one of the most confusing. And this is due to the numerous sequels and requels being made that retcon pre-established lore and plot points to have its own story take place. I heard the word requel and I wanted to use it because it sounded funny. Some people may not be aware that H20 isn't actually a sequel to Halloween 6, but more or less a sequel to Halloween 2, pretending to be Halloween 3, just as Halloween 4 was, because nobody liked it that Michael was gone, and you get the idea. So H20 is basically the reason the so-called Halloween multiverse exists in the first place, so I thought, because it's the one that started it all, why not explore that timeline's media to simplify it for others who may want to know more, or are just as confused as to how this all happened in the first place. Strap in, folks, because it's about to get a little bumpy. The first entry in all these timelines is Carpenter's original film Halloween from 1978. But we all know the story of this one. Michael Myers kills his sister Judith on Halloween in 1963, is locked up for 15 years and escapes on October 30th, 1978, returning to his hometown to stalk a few teenagers on the following day. This low-budget film with a simple story like that became one of the most successful independent films of all time and a cultural phenomenon. And because of how successful it became, a sequel was in demand, but nobody wanted to do it except Erwin Yablans. Carpenter wanted Tommy Lee Wallace, the first film's production designer and editor, to direct the film, but he turned it down and it was given to Rick Rosenthal instead. Set on the same night as the first one, Halloween 2 is about Loomis and the police trying to apprehend Myers while he's stalking and killing people at the hospital to get to Laurie. And this film introduces the twist that Laurie is Michael's younger sister, who was adopted by the Strodes 2 years after her real parents were killed. It also introduces Sam Hain, which was later tied into Halloween 6 for the Thorn cult, but because that film no longer exists, it's left in the air. The film ends at the hospital with Loomis setting the surgery room ablaze, which could be seen as him sacrificing Michael to the spirits of Sam Hain as a callback to Loomis' speech from earlier, bringing an end to the night and to Myers as it was supposed to be. Its sequel, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, being a spin-off without Michael Myers, was criticized for not having him, so they made Halloween 4 as a way of apologizing. Jamie Lee Curtis was asked to be in it, but she turned it down because she had become a success in the film industry. However, around 9 years later, she had lunch with John Carpenter and Deborah Hill and pitched the idea of an anniversary film because she realized that it was 20 years later, and she thought, hey, it'd be fun to redo it. You know, because fuck that other one, right? And so 1998 saw the release of Halloween H20 20 years later, a film that I think gets a little too much hate for what it is, despite being the perpetrator of the Halloween multiverse. The film's premise is that Laurie Strode faked her death after Halloween 2 and has lived in California under a fake name to keep herself safe. This proves futile, however, as Michael finds her and fucks shit up, leading to him getting decapitated at the end of the film. But because Michael Myers is legally not allowed to die, Halloween Resurrection was released in 2002, which is directed by...
No! No!
This film has gone down as one of the most universally hated films in the franchise, next to Halloween 5 and its existence has tainted Halloween's legacy since. The film's premise is 3 years after he terrorized his sister, Michael Myers confronts and kills her before traveling to Haddonfield to deal with the cast and crew of a reality show which is being broadcasted from his old home. There isn't really much to talk about here aside from how unclear how much time passes between the prologue and the rest of the film, so now would be a good time to talk about the comics. One Good Scare was written by Stefan Hutchinson and was released in 2003. The comic centers around Dr. Loomis' son David, who takes on Lindsay Wallace as his patient as Miss Grove. The comic takes place over the course of a year, including a flashback of Sam and Michael, leading to Halloween, where Michael breaks into the sanitarium, kidnaps, and kills Lindsay. The comic came about because Hutchinson wanted to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and due to the positive reception, hoped to use it as a demo for getting a distribution deal, but was unable to do so due to distribution rights. Hutchinson released Halloween Autopsies on July 25, 2006 as an insert inside the DVD release of Halloween 25 Years of Terror. The comic takes place in 1993 and follows Patrick Carter, a photojournalist who is given the assignment to follow Dr. Loomis in an effort to determine the location of Michael Myers. At the end of the comic, Patrick overhears Loomis and Brackett conversing in the park, and Brackett continues to blame Loomis for Annie's death. Brackett says, "I hope that one day he butchers somebody close to you. Just so you know. Just so you understand." Brackett leaves and Loomis looks in the direction of where Patrick is hiding, and it is revealed that he doesn't notice Patrick, but Michael. Following Autopsies was a short story titled Sam, written by Hutchinson in 2008. The story chronicles the final days of Dr. Loomis, as well as a glimpse into his complicated past. In his youth, Loomis served time in World War II, at one point being a prisoner. He met a journalist named Elizabeth Worthington at a party sometime in the 1940s, and they went on to become good friends. Loomis left London in 1957 for the States, leaving Elizabeth behind. In 1995, Loomis suffers a heart attack, and Elizabeth hears about it and goes to visit him in Langdon when she's captured by Michael. Michael visits Sam in the hospital and tortures Elizabeth right in front of him. Loomis mocks Michael and he leaves. Loomis has another heart attack and falls next to his dying friend, seeing the name Carrie Tate carved into her back, showing that Michael knew all along that his sister was alive. Night Dance was a 4-issue miniseries released in 2008 by Devil's Due Publishing. The story takes place in 2008 and follows a young woman named Lisa who is afraid of the dark and is pursued by Michael because of her striking resemblance to Judith Myers. This comic is held in high regard as one of the best comics in the series, so I won't spoil anything about it, but a short story called Charlie was released alongside it and details the events of Charlie Bowles murdering his family in 1963. August 2008 saw the release of Devil's Due's Halloween 30 Years of Terror to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Halloween. It is a collection of one-shot stories, so I'll briefly explain. Trick or Treat follows the Mackenzies calling the police on Halloween 1978, POV is about Miss Haddonfield killed on prom night, Visiting Hours is about Laurie Strode creating a fake reality in her mind, Tommy's Web shows Tommy Doyle as a comic writer, reading Tarantula Man and writing the Thorn timeline, yes, you heard that right, this is meta, and Reputation Compulsion is about Loomis and Marion following a clue that Michael is left behind to his next target. White Ghost, a short story written by Greg Mitchell, takes place when Michael escapes from Smith's Grove and follows the truck driver Michael killed to steal his coveralls. Yep, nobody's left out in this universe. There's some stuff with Loomis that's interesting, so I'll provide a link to it in the description. Sam Hain was an unreleased short story written by Myron James that focuses on this reporter lady during the events of Halloween 2, as she wants to be the first person to interview Laurie Strode. She'll interview her brother instead. The Diary of Judith Myers was going to be released alongside the final issue of a cancelled comic, but it hasn't seen the light of day. Mark of Thorn was a cancelled comic that was supposed to focus on Tommy Doyle as he's assigned to write a fictionalized version of the horrors of Michael Myers, but it apparently comes back to haunt him. Finally, the first death of Laurie Strode was a 3-issue comic series centered around Laurie Strode in the aftermath of the 1978 massacre. The issues start at Annie Brackett's funeral in November 1978, leading to Laurie's graduation in May the following year. We also get flashbacks through Judith's diary to Michael's childhood, where his strange behavior showed at an early age. We also learn when Judith's parents died and Laurie's original birth name, Cynthia Myers. Issue 3 was cancelled due to the writers not getting any money, however there are pictures of the unreleased comic panels out there, along with the script to go along with it. And that should be everything. So with all that on the table, the timeline goes a little something like this. In the 1940s, Sam Loomis serves in World War II, at one point being a prisoner. He meets Elizabeth Worthington at a party, and the two would become good friends. Sam leaves London in 1957 to move to the States, saying that's where he belonged. Judith Myers was born in 1947 to Don and Edith Myers, her brother Michael born in October 1957, and her younger sister Cynthia born in February 1961. Michael's strange behavior begins to alarm Judith, and it comes to a boiling point on October 31st, 1963, where Michael murders Judith in her bedroom. He's locked up in Smith's Grove Sanitarium with Loomis assigned as his doctor. Dawn and Edith are killed in a car accident in January 1966, leaving Cynthia in the care of the Strodes, with her first and last name changed. Loomis attempts suicide on December 31st, 1977, but stops after asking himself, "What if I'm right?" Michael escapes Smith's Grove on October 30th, 1978, the following day committing the most brutal mass murder in history in Haddonfield, leaving his sister Laurie the sole survivor. Michael, thought to be killed in a fire explosion, survives and continues to stalk his sister beyond Halloween. Dr. Loomis creates a plan for Laurie to fake her death on October 31st, 1979, delaying the inevitability of her death as well. Laurie marries an unknown man and has John in 1981. From 1989 to 1993, Michael commits murders to taunt his old doctor, eventually leading to the death of a photojournalist for getting involved in the case. In January 95, Loomis has a heart attack and Elizabeth attempts to visit him when she's captured by Michael. Loomis and Michael have a horrifying encounter, leading to another heart attack, this time fatal, and the discovery that Michael knew about Laurie's survival all along. In October 1998, Michael kills Marion Chambers and pursues his sister Laurie in California. It leads to her decapitating the wrong man, leaving her in a state like her brother was when he was younger, only this time from guilt. In the year 2000, Michael pursues a young woman named Lisa in Russellville due to her striking resemblance to Judith. In October 2001, Michael kills Laurie and disappears into the night. In 2002, Michael attacks the Dangertainment crew, visiting Lindsay Wallace sometime in the process. He's burned alive in the Myers house, but he survives. Loomis's son, David, takes Lindsay as his patient and starts to follow in his father's footsteps by becoming consumed by evil. On Halloween in 2003, Michael hunts Lindsay, kidnapping her and killing her. In 2005, Tommy Doyle is assigned to write a fictionalized version of the horrors that he experienced, creating the Thorn timeline as we know it. However, by doing this, his past comes back to haunt him. And that should be it. Thanks guys so much for watching. I'm sorry if I left everything out or if a lot of stuff was vague. I've just been trying to get this video out for months. Now I'll finally be able to finish it. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll be doing more later on. I'll see you later.